blessed unity with the L-O-V-E. Love is the solution, so set your love free with the L-O-V-E. Further evolution and blessed unity.
Good morning, self-lovers. Welcome back to the Self-Love Show. I'm your co-host, Dawn Light, and my beautiful sister here, Trish Wright, is with us as well. We're really grateful. This has been a beautiful 5-year journey of supporting you guys with love, with support, with self-love in all the ways, and we're just so grateful. If you don't know that about us yet, we're really grateful to have this in our life. And this has been a labor of love. So for those new, welcome. We're so grateful to have you. And in case you don't know, we exist on all the platforms. So go check us out. Spotify, YouTube. There's so many gems and nuggets of goodness in the YouTube platform. Just go look at all the videos. There are just so many good ones. And just thank you for all the people that have been on the show and all those that helped the show. We just couldn't do it without you. And so today we have an amazing guest, really, really grateful for her to be on. She's a sister friend of mine. And I'm going to just read a quick intro here, and we're going to dive right into a juicy topic today. So the topic is, what is authentic feminine power? It is your sexual power. How do we free ourselves from the old paradigm that has distorted this power so that we can access it more fully? Why is it important to fully reclaim this wounded part of your feminine soul, and so that you can begin to heal? Luminessa is a teacher of women's sexuality, spirituality, cross-cultural tantra, and the mythology of the goddess. She's an Ascension Coach, spiritual counselor, fairy goddess mother, an ordained priestess and minister. Luminessa has over 40 years of combined training and experience and is a compassionate teacher and guide. She offers private one-on-one mentoring and trainings and group workshops. Welcome, Luminessa.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. So happy to be here today.
Oh, we're happy to have you.
Oh, yeah. So before we got on live, we were having this really amazing conversation that had touched on, the ideals and the construction of femininity, masculinity, and kind of like how those beliefs had been were oppressive beliefs, and how we're lucky to be here now living on this planet all together. And I'd love to, I don't actually understand how it all works, but but I am really happy to be here now with you all. And I think that if we can just sort of like recap what we did talk about briefly, conceptually, just so that everyone knows kind of where we're at around what authentic being and what how that like relates to people pleasing, and how we learned how to be human beings in gendered bodies. Like, I would love to just like move into that.
Well, you want me to go ahead and just say something?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. So what we were talking about, everybody, is more or less around how it's time, well, for me personally, that I really am, after X amount of years, I won't even say anymore, of self-growth work and depth level trainings and all kinds of work that I've done myself nonstop, literally since my 20s. I really have come to the point where I'm loving myself and accepting myself. And I really am finally allowing myself to really show up more fully and completely in the natural way that I am. And I was sharing with Dawn, my word is ebullient. I am ebullient this month. I'm an ebullient, enthusiastic magnet for all that I love, like coming up with this fun way to play on ourselves. And it's very freeing to finally love yourself enough and accept who you really are without trying to people please everybody, and just because you're selling a product, or you're a teacher, or you're this or that. You may have one student. You know how they have the great Yoshis, or the great ones who will say if they only get one student in a lifetime who studies with them, they're fulfilled. So I'm just coming more from that because I'm owning it more.
Oh, I love that. I mean, I think that's a really great reframe too, that you only have like one person that studies with you, that like really resonates with you, like in their heart of hearts. You know, we also touched on, being ourselves enough to let people show up or self-select out. This is one of my little like Trishisms, like self-select out is a Trishism, where it's like that you're just so yourself. Like Dawn's just so herself and I'm just so myself. And then Luminessa, you were just so yourself that people are either like an F yes or I'm out. And I feel like that's just like an epically loving way to show up, you know?
What else can we do, right?
When
It's learning to not take it personal when someone doesn't resonate or doesn't believe the same thing you do or doesn't want the same life path you have. It's not wrong or bad. Just like, who are we to judge? They are following their own consciousness inside themselves, their own relationship with source, wherever they are inside themselves, and they're guided for whatever reason to go right and go down that pathway that's way over there, and it's not wrong or bad.
We also have to remember we have soul contracts.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We either have a soul contract, we don't have a soul contract. And I'm learning more and more that because someone is different from me doesn't mean that I'm better than them, doesn't mean that I'm wrong. It means that they're different from me, but I can learn to play with the differences. I can learn to say it's okay to be different from me. It's okay that you prefer to wear your hair that way and I prefer to wear my hair this way. This is a small petty thing. Or, when you live with other people, you have to learn to adapt. Other people may wash dishes the way you don't wash a dish. Does that mean that you're a better dishwasher than them? Not necessarily. It means they just wash dishes the way they wash dishes. So it gets down to these kinds of mundane things. And then you get to notice how judging you can be about silly little things. And you compare, I'm better. That's all ego. It's not the authentic presence who is really just love. Loving the fact that they're different. That's a big one. Can I love the fact that you're different from me?
Yeah.
Why not? One of the things is one of my teachers that I absolutely love. You might know her, Allison. She's a teacher of men and women. She has a great courses on how to be a woman that loves men the way they are. She's great. One of the things she said was we're constantly trying, women specifically are always comparing other people, especially men, to them, saying that man should be like me as a woman. I'm this perfect woman and I do it this way. And she said, even ourselves, we don't live up to our own perfection. So I use that with everything now. I just brought it up and said, I'm not, people have to be who they are, like you said, Dawn. And it doesn't mean that they're less than us or better than us or worse than us. It means they're just who they are.
I find that even further is acknowledging people for their authentic qualities they carry. I love this, even if they're far from radically different than me, their mindset, their approach, maybe, whatever it is, right? When I'm having a conversation with this person or I'm interacting with them, maybe I'm at a party and, I'm exposed to somebody that's like a radical different viewpoint, or, like I go home to visit my family in Texas and radically different viewpoints, right? And I don't want to judge them. They're my family. Some of them are family members, right? But it's really like, where can I find something that's authentic about this person and really acknowledge that? Like, wow, I really appreciate this. Like, I'm curious here. And I find that when I really stretch into this type of mentality or way of being and practice it with people in the world, it really dissolves the narrative that we're different, and it really opens the way for connection and communication to flow between us.
That's great. That's a wonderful point. Thank you for sharing that. I love that. I really do. Yeah. So, again, when we're talking about authenticity and authentic power, this is a conversation that we were talking about women, and I was mentioning a show I had seen that showed women in medieval times, and I'm aware of all of this stuff. I studied it all around the patriarchal structures and the male-dominated culture. One of the wonderful, if you know Rianne Eisler's work, Chalice and the Blade, which was seminal work back in the 80s. She is a major woman who has partners. Her and her husband started the Center for Partnership Studies after she wrote all these amazing books. So that book clearly showed that rather than using the word patriarchy, because patri means father, matri means mother. And if you're living in a culture that is run by the father principle, then you use the word patriarchal, which we do in many aspects, but we're a male dominated culture, just like you could be a female dominator. So the dominator principle is power over others, right? So I was just sharing authentic power and how we are so grateful, even if we as women still feel there are many things that are not necessarily the way we would like it to be ideally. We can say, at least those of us in our country, America, you know, different places here, are so blessed to be here. When you think of our sisters who have suffered thousands and thousands of years, and even today in other countries, still suffering, those bonds of slavery and the idea that women were less than and had no value and that women were just products. And in this show, it showed medieval Europe and how women were commodities. And the principle that they were teaching that I saw was that the women who survived had to be survivors. And the way that they survived was through cunning, stealth, being that kind of person that had to protect themselves above all costs. Like, I will get you before you get me. And that was kind of the realm in which they were forced to live. And I just wanted to say, glad I'm not there anymore.
Yeah. You know, I spend a lot of time looking historically. Dawn has heard this so many times. I feel so bad for her. And, you know, you listeners and viewers and, like, you know, all of you people on Spotify and YouTube, I know that you've heard a lot of these things, but I've spent a lot of time looking through history, and like I've spent a lot of time tracing back belief systems because it's just really fascinating to me. And belief systems around, well, race or gender or sexuality, or how did we get to these ideas, and how do we build identity through collective consciousness. And that is one of the things that, you know, when I think back and I'm looking at how, marriage is an institution of property ownership. Like, and then we keep going back of like these ideas that we have, I'm speaking of we as in like a collective humanity throughout history. But like in the past, there's ideas of how you control people is to dehumanize them. You make them into animals and you make them less than. And we can trace a lot of, I can trace a lot of people's insecurities, whether that's people pleasing or body stuff or different types of shame, through the lineage of like historical social norms from the past. It's fantastically wild. I mean, it's not like, woohoo, great, but we're like, whoa, like, I'm like mind blown all the time. And one of the things, like, we are all for like 2,500 years at least, we all are under the oppressive, violent control of contortion, of people pleasing, of being safe. And so men have been like molded into this idea. Women have been molded into this idea. Any minority group is molded into this other idea of who they should be and how they have to behave towards the more violent party. And that is one of the most fascinating things. Like when we can start to chip away at those things, you know, like being a woman who gets to be free. I can wear a crop top if I want. I'm almost 40, you know, like I can do whatever I want, and mostly, and live in my authentic feminine power. Or if I wanted to choose to not be my authentic feminine power, I could choose to live in a masculine power. Or a non-binary power. Like, it's so liberating, the time that we live in, to live in the authenticity of who we are and where we're at. It's just, I'm happy to be here with you both.
And my heart just goes out to all women that want to explore more their authentic power and like need this work, right? That's like the whole conversation of like, yeah, let's heal all the places inside where those perceived wounds are. If you've had the father wound or the mother wound, you know, in your own family history, like you can trace it back intergenerationally, patterns show up. And so that's the deeper dive of what you're beautifully offering, Luminessa. Is I hear you're giving people radical permission to say yes to, like, where am I not fully expressed?
Well, one of the things, my specialty, which was organic and not something I would ever have thought I'd have chosen, was around sexuality, because that was a big wound for me. So my whole life, I had sexual abuse. When that piece was remembered in my psyche, it was a revelation. And as a result of that, I got to see the patterns I developed toward men, and my intimacy level was so limited that I was unable to have true intimacy with a man, or I did not trust his love until I did many years of deep journey work, self-growth work, and work with the feminine. And I was a sex worker, and I never thought I would ever have done that, but it, again, was part of the journey. The goddess, I say the divine feminine as the goddess, led me to this work, I thought, to make money, which is, of course, why you think you're doing that. But the truth was, it was extremely difficult. It was a journey to understanding true feminine power. Is it about, because in the past, I've had many lifetimes as a priestess, as a monk, as a nun, I mean, taken care of by that, doing that work. On the other end, I have been a prostitute, I have been a courtesan, I have been the woman who ran the country through the man. I have been the woman who walked the streets. And all women have aspects in this culture that are wounded because the feminine has been dismembered for thousands of years. The true soul of the feminine was scattered on purpose. It was a purposeful infiltration of reversing the feminine. So even though, as the reclamation of the goddess was prevalent in the 80s, because I was a part of that movement. There was the 70s, and then the 80s was the goddess. Let's reclaim the goddess. And it was the newest movement. It was brand new. Oh my God, you mean God is a woman? Oh my gosh, there's a goddess? Women started writing, scholarly women were reclaiming this feminine power. And part of that is our sexuality, because our sexuality, again, was made as a tool against us. Women were told that they can't connect with their femininity and their sexuality, their yoni, unquote, their vulva, or as we would reclaim our pussy, the word cunt, over the years, right? That we were told that sexuality is something for us to be ashamed of, or that we should never touch ourselves. Or if you, as you studied, if you look at all the historical stories of the well-bred woman, she was never to enjoy sex. Sex was something you had to endure by your husband. It would be over in just a few minutes. So all of this culture, as you were talking about, right, Trisha, all this cultural stuff over centuries.
Yes.
And continuously we take this stuff and we internalize it all. And then we end up having either we're over-sexualized or we're under-sexualized. So the authentic power I resonate with is reclaiming the lost part of our wholeness. And I work specifically with archetypal images of the goddess as sexual goddess or as sensual goddess. These specific archetypes make a difference when we own them and integrate them. And I'm a living testament to that.
Would you like to share?
Yeah.
A tool?
Go ahead.
There you are. Would you like to share a tool?
I will share a tool I use, and what I offer to people is the working with what's called the Living Goddess Guide. And I also have I have 2 ebooks I work with, and one of them is learning how to be. It's called What's Your Sexy. It's owning the archetypes of the goddess as Lilith, who is our primal goddess, and not Lilith, the goddess that we were told. She was demonized by the patriarchal version of her. So Lilith is one of the core priestesses and women. She's actually the mother of creation. There was Adam, Eve, Lilith. Okay, Eve was, the way I see it now is Eve is a part of Lilith and Lilith is a part of Eve. Eve was the good, innocent girl who did everything that Adam asked. And Lilith was the woman who was empowered and sovereign unto herself and said, no, my sexuality is my own and I'm going to do what I want with it. And we bring these parts together. we reclaim that story of origin. And what I get to do with women is help them to reclaim these parts. So through this work, we work with Aphrodite as an archetype of the goddess, because she's one of the most well-known. She's the goddess of love and sensuality and beauty, and she represents certain aspects and qualities. And I'm an Aphrodite woman, so I know her really, really well. She's sensual. She loves beauty. She's artistic. She's a woman who's sovereign unto herself, meaning virginal unto her own self. She doesn't people don't tell her who she should love. She chooses them, and she goes after them. And then when she's done and she's ready to move on, she moves on. She's not attached. That's an Aphrodite woman. And usually Aphrodite women can be very alluring and they're very seductive, or they can be women that just feel very self-confident with themselves. They love their bodies. They feel good about themselves in general. And then we also work with the sexual initiatress. And this is a really major role for women to reclaim in our time. We think that being sexy is about dressing sexy, or, you know, how many men we've slept with, or how many orgasms we've had. And, you know, ladies, this isn't the truth. It's just part of the story. The truth about being a sexual initiatrix, it's an ancient role that we were told we could no longer hold. We were told we were disconnected from our sexuality and told that we had to give our sexuality over to men and that they would teach us. But the truth, and this is such a joy, that we can reclaim our own sexual power by knowing that we are the educators. We have to help, and I'm talking about it if we self-identify in the feminine form with a female yoni or vulva. We reclaim our sexuality, we reclaim our feminine power, because we are the teachers of this, and we are here to help men through helping men to open their heart and connect heart with their sex. Things I would say is a key issue is for us to reclaim some of these old aspects that we were told in the past. We were indoctrinated, and then later it was like over time passed down from mother to daughter, from mother to daughter, and eventually you have generations of women who don't understand what it means to be a sexual initiatrix, who don't understand their role in sex. Teach others. We're the ones who, how can a woman knows her body. So women must teach others how to please them. And one of the key things is that we first have to initiate ourselves into our own sexuality. So that's the tool is, can we look in the mirror? Can we say, I love my body? Can we do ritual? And I have many rituals that I do with my students. They do classes, and each class takes them through a level and awareness of how to reclaim these parts of ourselves. And we heal the wounded parts of ourselves as we go through this. One of the things is to reclaim and to learn to love our private parts. Yes, we learn to love our private parts. And to this day, women in our life, I will say, still don't love their private parts. And I'm using those words in quotes. Women today, my experience with working with women over time is that the majority of women, and especially even young women rising now, still feel sort of disconnected, and they feel like their yonis or vulvas are ugly, or they smell bad, or they should shave them, or that somehow they are not perfect, and they judge themselves either based on indoctrination that we've been culturally told, and also now, unfortunately, through pornography, which is the predominant sex educator of our time. So we have a younger culture who may be in, through looking at pornography and looking at movie stars in porn. And you have to understand that people who make porn, especially if it's professional, they're paid to do this or paid to look a certain way. And we as ordinary women, it's time to love ourselves as we are and love our bodies as it is. And this is a process. It doesn't happen overnight necessarily. So through the work that I offer and through specific things you can do, one of the things you can do is take a mirror, if you haven't yet done this, and look at yourself. Look at your vulva. Look at your beautiful, sensual, I call her the yoni. I love yoni is the word. It means sacred space in Hindu and Sanskrit. And so I love that word yoni. And I also love the word punani. I love that word. Isn't it great to call yourself, you have a beautiful punani? I love these poetic words, the way we could describe ourselves. And yet also reclaiming that part of ourselves, taking the shame out of that, owning all aspects of us as a woman, and saying that our authentic power is first coming from our internal womb energy. It comes from, we're magnetic. Women are naturally magnetic because of our sex. Now, that was a revelation to me. So the sexual initiatrix, Lilith, as the primal goddess, which is our raw sexual energy. The primal energy for a woman is her Shakti. It's it's nature. It's wild. It's untamable. And did you know that for generations and thousands of years, one of the things that I have discovered through my studies is that men, and I will say specifically history, or that the patriarchal, felt terrified by this sexual power that we hold as women, terrified by the beauty of our bodies, terrified, afraid. We were so powerful. Just to look at us is empowering, just to notice how beautiful, how delicious, how curvaceous, whatever way we are built, we are so beautiful. And to own that with such, joy in ourselves, but in our backgrounds, in history, this was not what was taught to us. We were told that we should look a certain way, that we have to be a model, or we have to be this, or we have to be that, or we smell this, or buy that. So over time, this stuff is just so internalized that we begin to, eat ourselves, as you say. The monster gets inverted on itself. And I'm here to say that the story ends. This is a new paradigm, right?
And this is exactly what we need right now, because it's time. It's time that we shed those beliefs about ourselves, about each other, about competing with other women or men. We have to shed those things, and we have to, like what Dawn said earlier, and what you were saying, is to look at the unique individual and to really support every person's unique, and not just physical stuff, just their unique qualities that make them so personal and so individual, while also recognizing that we're in a collaborative, collective humanity and that we have to think about each other and care for each other in a way. And I love what you're sharing is this right here truly is a collaborative unfolding. And I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I have dedication to the work, and I can feel your passion in your work around helping women unearth what is no longer serving them. And I firmly believe every soul has an entelechy, which is just like the oak tree comes from a acorn, right? And the acorn comes knowing it's going to be an oak tree. It gets buried in the earth or wherever it lands, and it never thinks I'm going to be a dandelion flower. It always knows it's going to be an oak tree. And we are the same way in our soul. We come with a blueprint and a way of being that is exactly our soul's purpose, what our curriculum is, what the journey we're here to take, and even the core imprints in our family unit that we're supposed to have to help that journey. The beautiful pottery, the Japanese pottery, that's where they break the pottery and then they fill in the cracks with the gold. Well, that's what we're doing in our own beingness, where we feel broken or not whole. We actually bring the light there, and that's what heals these parts. So I just really lift up your work and praise it, because every woman needs to do this. I've done the deep dive myself in this journey in this way, and I support women also in this way. And I think it's so liberating to look at where the shame lives. So liberating to look at the guilt, the trauma, the hurt, original hurt, the original core wounds. This is where the liberation lives for you, and this is where it's the doorway into the liberated self and the liberated life. If you want this, reach out to any of us, and especially Luminessa for this type of work. She's a gem, and really appreciate you, Luminessa, for the voice that you bring today and the passion that you carry around this work. I can really feel your heart and your presence.
Thank you so much. I would just say that for the work that we're doing, we're having some new things that are coming up. And I left some links in the chat. one of the things I wanted to say for the work that's most coming up right away is with Anasara Maka and myself for the Sacred Portal Retreat. It's a 3-day retreat, September 20th through the 22nd. It's going to be in Occidental, California, on the land in an incredible yurt temple that we've created on Anasara's land. It's powerful group work. Again, you were talking about the collective. One of the things we know about women most is women work in a collective community. We work in a circle. Women have always worked together. When we heal together, we heal the planet. Every time we do this work for ourselves, we do it for all women everywhere, every time. And so when you join us on this incredible 3-day event, it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It will transform your entire experience of how you relate to yourself as a feminine being. And you can come also if you're in transition and you want to come and you're feeling more identified as a woman right now, this would be fine as well. It's just a matter of how you feel you fit in, because this work is exactly, we do yoni work specifically. So that's why we're saying it. But, we're welcome to talk to people of all aspects, as long as it feels right and fits in with everybody else in that area. I also do one-on-one work, private work that's called the Light of Womanhood, Priestess of the Flame training. It's really a mentoring program and a training for you to become a priestess of your own flame. The Priestess of the Flame is a 6,000-year-old lineage based on the teachings of Lilith and the goddess Inanna. And it's really all about the reclamation of our deep feminine soul and our feminine power, our sexuality, in a whole new way, a new paradigm for all women everywhere. And this is what we're into right now. And you can find that on my website under How to Work With Me. And I would suggest, if you want to, all you have to do if you want to learn more is just sign up on my website, newfemininerising.com, and download for free the great sign up and download for free the Living Goddess Guide, and that'll get you started on everything. Or contact me directly and we can have a call. I'll call it our heart call to talk about whatever I have to offer. It's really wonderful to share with them. And that's my grace and my deepest joy. And I also just want to say I have a podcast as well called New Feminine Rising. We're relaunching it soon, but we still have it up if you're wanting to look. It'll have guests like you. Both Trish and Dawn will have my guests on my podcast coming up in the future. Okay? Thank you so very much.
Oh, what an honor to have you today. Bless your work in the world.
And thank you both so much for having me. I've enjoyed it, and it's been a thrill. You're so brilliant, just brilliant women. Thank you so much.
You too. We're all in it together. We're all just
Sisters.
Raising everyone up in our unique, special ways.
Yes, we are. Thank you so very much.
Dawn, do you have anything to share?
If you're just curious more about my work and that I offer in the world, I have like 50 plus 5-star reviews on Google you can check out. You can just Google my name, Dawn Light Amora. You can read all my reviews. And if you want to go to my website, it's my name, Dawn, DAWN, Light, LIGHT, Amora, AMORA.com. Go check it out. And I'm also Spark Your Inner Gold on Instagram. And just come check me out. If you feel inclined to reach out and know more around, how to heal deep-rooted intergenerational trauma patterns in your past and heal the core wound, father wound, mother wound, uncle, sister, brother, however it shows up for you, I'm here for you. I love this work. I have a gift in it. I really help unlock whatever your personal entelechy will be, polish that diamond, and heal what the core trauma is. And so that you can stand forward in your authentic gifts.
Yeah.
Love to support you here.
Yeah. Aw, you two beautiful women are just going to save the world.
One all the time.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say thank you to all of you who are here, paying attention, doing the self-love work, and really showing up for yourself every week. And I'd love to just say a big shout out to Roy and Russell, our team, who are just make all these things possible so that we can have lives. And some of us go to school and some of us are parents and have their practices, and just make sure that everything runs smooth. So we love you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And just a big shout out to Scott Thomas, Love Coach Academy, and Global Peace Tribe for being our muse and for running us out on other platforms. And thank you so much for your time. And we'll see you same time, same place